ready to roll. Our guys are fired up for another weekend of preseason football, so that's how we're going to start. What are you fired up to watch this weekend, Neat?
I'm looking forward to Cameron Ward down in Tennessee. I think we've seen a couple quarterbacks in the last season step in and make their teams great. We're talking about C.J. Stroud and obviously what Jayden Daniels did last year. I know it's asking a lot for it to happen 3 years in a row, but I think Cam Ward has the talent to be able to turn this team around.
First pick in the draft on display this weekend. What are you fired up to watch, Mike T?
Jackson Dart versus the Jets stand right across the river here at MetLife. He played great against Buffalo. Looking at this from last week, 2 touchdowns, 159 yards. Remember, he was a great athlete, 12 rushing touchdowns at Ole Miss. Go win the job, Jackson. Russell Wilson had a great career. He's on the back nine. Go get the job, play well against the Jets.
Mike T's retiring. Russell Wilson. D. Wood, what are you fired up to watch this weekend?
I'm looking forward to Caleb Williams versus the Buffalo Bills. New head coach Ben Johnson. He chose this job in Chicago primarily because of that young man we're seeing right there, Caleb Williams. How comfortable will he look inside this new offense with all the toys that he has at his disposal?
All right, let's start there because this is obviously a big story, right? With Ben Johnson coming in as a new head coach, mission to get Caleb Williams, the #1 pick in last year's draft, on track. I sometimes think putting these games on TV can be a disservice, right? Because they're putting something together in Washington, and we've heard some kind of mixed reports coming out of camp. So what happens if he goes out and struggles?
I mean, I think we all get a little bit more concerned. And to your point, these are practice games. We wouldn't lose our mind if he had a bad practice. But if he goes out and has a bad showing in this game, it'll be our first time getting to look at him in a new offense. And we expect that this offense is supposed to make everything easier for him. If he struggles in a situation where the training wheels are on, which you would expect them to be in the preseason, and you're looking at defenses that may run 1 or 2 fire zones, but they're not running sophisticated, complicated, specifically game plan blitzes, you expect Caleb Williams to be in control and on time. And if he doesn't do that, I think people do get concerned.
He's in a tough spot because Jayden Daniels has this monster rookie season, right? And Bo Nix has a good rookie. And Caleb still seems like he's putting it together, now already on his second coach. But he was the first pick. Bears didn't look at any other quarterbacks when they had that pick last year. I think people sometimes can forget why. Can you refresh people's memories, Mike T, about why he was the first pick in the first place?
Absolutely, Dan. We have a tape to look at. He's a guy that has all the athleticism and arm strength. First play here, this is against UCLA. Look at his eye level down the field. And this is a throw that not many people on the planet can make. Look how accurate that ball is, 60 yards down the field. That's why the Bears didn't look at anybody else. This is the play against Stanford. I love the athleticism and the toughness here, the balance. I don't love the ball security. And then look how he finishes the run into the end zone. That's somebody that has all the skill sets to be a winning quarterback at the NFL level. Now we have to see it, starting this weekend.
All the skill, all the talent. We know why the Bears took him #1. So what has to happen for Ben Johnson to come in there and get the most out of him?
I think like with any young quarterback, you got to give him easy completion, easy throws to get him kind of in the groove of this offense. Remember, we're talking about Ben Johnson. He's basically deconstructing Caleb Williams from a lot of the poor habits or some of the things that he didn't do at USC and building him back up. And so in the process of doing that, what you want this young man to be comfortable so he can build upon that as long as he's in the game. So I look for screens, pass plays over the middle, things that easy completions for a young quarterback.
They have built a solid group around him. We know they beefed up the interior of the offensive line. He was not their only first-round pick last year. Rome Odunze, the wide receiver, they drafted a tight end in the top 10 this year. Like, what are you looking to see in terms of his connection with the guys he was working with last year, maybe Odunze in particular?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's going to be a heavy play action situation in offense, and I think playing quarterback is a lot about making decisions. And for Caleb, the decision should be to get rid of the ball quickly to all of these playmakers. And understanding the tape that Mike T showed is the reason why people want Caleb Williams to be their quarterback. But the things that we have questions about is, can he run this offense or make decisions when to pull out those magic tricks? Because sometimes trying to make every play into a home run, not taking the 3-4 yard pass or taking the easy decision, that's the scary part for a guy with that level of talent.
Yeah, indeed. In terms of Odunze or even Colston Loveland, you can look at what Nico Collins has done for C.J. Stroud. Young quarterbacks love big catching radius, and those two guys in particular, to your point, get rid of the ball. 68 sacks, way too many. get the ball in your hands, get it to those big receivers, and as you mentioned, D-Wood, those should be easy completions.
The work they did adding to that interior of that offensive line, a big deal for him too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, listen, the one thing, Ben Johnson comes from the Lions. What do the Lions do? They want to run the football, establish a line of scrimmage, play action off of that. So as much as we talk about Caleb Williams, my eyes are also going to be on this offensive line, especially the interior of it, because, I always said, like, sacks aren't just on the quarterback. Sacks are obviously offensive line related. And so I want to see how that, between the quarterback and the offensive line, see how those two groups are playing together.
We'll get to see a little glimpse of how the Bears are putting it all together this weekend. Of course, still 3 weeks away from the games that count. Our next stop is Cleveland, where quarterback Shedeur Sanders will not play this weekend. He's nursing an oblique injury that will likely keep him out of the Browns' second preseason game tomorrow against the Super Bowl champion Eagles. Shedeur had a promising debut last weekend, so this feels a little bit like a setback. But our Chris Canty thinks it could be a blessing in disguise. CC?
Starting the season as QB1 as a rookie might not be ideal. When you think about it, they're at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. Then they got a string of 5 straight playoff teams. Not a soft place to land if you're Shedeur Sanders. And the fact that this does give everybody a chance to chill out with the expectations, I think it could be a good thing for Shedeur in the long run.
D. Wood, do you agree with Canty?
No, I do not. Like, missing time as a 4th-string, 5th-round draft pick is never a good thing. And I understand where Chris Canty is coming from this standpoint. Like, it's easier to go from Joe Flacco to Shedeur than start out with Shedeur, and then he struggles, then you move on because you risk losing the young man as far as confidence is concerned. But at the end of the day, he's still the 4th-string quarterback on the depth chart for the Cleveland Browns. And so any day that you miss is an opportunity for someone else to capitalize on that. Dylan Gabriel is coming back from injury. What if Dylan Gabriel goes out there and plays well? Dylan Gabriel was the 3rd-round pick. He got picked 2 rounds higher than Shedeur Sanders. And so when you're missing time in the preseason and you're already splitting up snaps with 3 other quarterbacks, that is not a good thing.
Totally agree. We were just looking at that footage, Graz, and Shedeur Sanders played really well last week. Hard stop. He played some of these throws he made, these 2 touchdown passes, those are layered NFL throws. He led the nation in completion percentage, and he's showing a reason why. This injury is awful because it's interrupting the momentum. You guys know we are in the ultimate meritocracy. He earned more reps this week. He probably would have played more, and it's really too bad. I totally disagree with Chris Canty relative to how it could have played out. I'm not saying he would have started opening day, but obviously he's going to be on the team. But just in terms of where he is on the depth chart, this injury is a setback.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like Canty had almost as good a chance to start week 1 as Shedeur for the Browns based on the way things have gone. But I mean, when he gets hurt at this time of camp, what does that mean for him?
Well, I mean, we keep saying he's a 5th-round pick, which is right, but we have to understand that he's a different type of 5th-round pick. He is a 5th-round pick who's going to get a chance to start at some point this season. I think we all will be shocked. And I understand if you're a 5th-round pick, you want to keep going out there and keep getting better and keep moving up the depth chart. I'm sure he would love that. But I do agree with you guys. The idea that him not wanting to start at any point, I get where the big dog Chris Canty is coming from, but I don't agree with it. I think you want to get out there as soon as possible, play as well as you can as soon as possible, because I think for the Browns, their expectation right now is probably to use one of their 2 first-round picks or package those 2 next year to move up in the draft. You have to start changing their mind. I don't think that they are committed to any quarterback that's in that building right now. So the sooner you can get out there to change their mind, the better off you'll be.
To that point, and to D. Wood's question, what if Dylan Gabriel has a big game this weekend? I mean, does he start to become a consideration for them?
Yeah, possibly. And look, Dylan Gabriel was a really good college player, but when you look at it from a height and athletic standpoint, it's really bucking the odds. And look, he could play great, and hopefully he does for him. But realistically, Shedeur Sanders has dramatically more ability. He's built for the NFL. And look, Dylan Gabriel could be a developmental guy, and we'll see how he does, this weekend. But to me, going to Nick's point, the likelihood of a quarterback evolving from this year's draft would be Shedeur Sanders.
It feels like, based on the way this has gone with the injuries and everything in camp, that Joe Flacco is likely to open the season as the starter. It's a tough open to the season. I mean, they opened with the Bengals, they got the Ravens, they got the Packers. It's a tough one. But At some point, you expect we'll see all these guys as they kind of work their way through the depth chart and figure out what it is that they actually have?
Yeah, no, listen, I think Nick touched upon it. Like, at some point, you're going to play one of these young guys, particularly, think a guy like Shedeur Sanders, because you have 2 first-round picks in 2026. Yeah. Like, you need to see if one of these 2 guys could be the guy, because I think those 2 first-round picks become even more valuable if you have the quarterback in the building.
Yeah, and to D Wood's point, if I'm Andrew Berry, the GM of the Browns, I'm telling that to Dylan Gabriel and Shedeur. Like, here's the answers to the test. Make us convinced that we can take those 2 ones, package them, whatever, pass rusher, offensive lineman, go earn the job each and every day to make our decision easy in 2026.
And then we're building a team around you as opposed to finding your replacement. Should be a fascinating season.